Hari Hari. So tomorrow is Friday, December 22nd, and it is Gita Jayanti. So in our temple in Northboro, Massachusetts, we'll be celebrating Gita Jayanti in the evening with a Partha Sarathi Yajna, puja. But before we go into sharing and describing tomorrow's schedule and so on and so forth, I want to share two stories to emphasize the significance of Partha Sarathi and the Partha Sarathi Yajna and puja we're going to do tomorrow. In the Mahabharata, when the Kauravas and the Pandavas were preparing for the war, and this is after everyone, Vyasadeva, Vidura, even Krishna himself tried to stop the war from happening. And Duryodhana was hell-bent on depriving the Pandavas of their rightful kingdom, in fact, stealing it from them, and in fact, just killing the Pandavas outright. To the extent that he said, I will not give the Pandavas enough land in which to drive the head of a pin. This was the envy and the animosity Duryodhana had for Yudhishthira and the Pandavas, and the evil nature of his character. So when preparations were being made, the Pandavas and the Kauravas were going to their various friends and allies, trying to get them on their side, to bring their armies to help them win the war. Both Duryodhana and Arjuna went to Dwaraka to enlist Krishna's help for the upcoming battle. Duryodhana arrived to Krishna's chamber first. Went inside. Krishna was napping, and Duryodhana sat at the head of Krishna's bed. Arjuna arrived, saw Duryodhana, greeted him, but did not disturb Krishna. Krishna was still sleeping there. And Arjuna went and sat at the foot of the bed. When Krishna woke up, he sat up, and the first person he saw was Arjuna at the foot of his bed. And Duryodhana cleared his throat, and Krishna turned and saw Duryodhana sitting there. So Krishna says, how can I help you? Duryodhana says, wait. I was here first. I should be able to ask for be granted the first benediction, the first request, because I was here first. Arjuna came second. Krishna says, yes, that's perfectly fine. But Arjuna is the younger. He is the younger of the two. And oftentimes, out of charity to our younger siblings, we allow them to pick the choicest, whether it's food or present or whatever it may be, to mollify and to show compassion to the youngest among us. So Krishna says Arjuna should have first pick in that regard. Duryodhana couldn't argue. And Krishna said, however, there's two things I want you both to know. There's two options here. There's the option of Narayana Sena, my personal army, my personal bodyguard, which comprises one Akshohini, and Akshohini is the Vedic description of a division, which includes cavalry, elephant soldiers, infantry, chariot fighters, and so on. So Krishna says, my personal bodyguard, the Narayana Sena, equals one Akshohini. That's one option. The other option is I, myself, will be on the side, the other option. But I will not carry a weapon. I will not fight. You can have me as an advisor. You can employ me in any way you want, but I will not pick up a weapon. So Duryodhana looks at Arjuna and he's upset because he's not going to get first choice. And he's worried that Arjuna is going to pick Narayana Sena. Without hesitation, Arjuna says, I want you, my dear Krishna. Krishna says, are you sure? I'm not going to fight. I'm not going to pick up a weapon. Are you sure you want to have me rather than a division of my undefeated personal bodyguard, Narayana Sena? Are you sure? Arjuna says, without question, I will have you. I won't fight, Arjuna. I'm not going to pick up a weapon. I will have you. my dear Krishna. Duryodhana is overjoyed. I'll take the army. Give me Narayana Sena. Goodbye, Arjuna. It's been nice knowing you. I'll see you on the battlefield. You're going to get a nice one. And Duryodhana takes the blessing of Krishna, takes the Narayana Sena, and goes. Krishna essentially says to Arjuna, what have you done? He's going to get an entire Akshauhini of my personal bodyguard undefeated. Arjuna says, I have you. Regardless of whatever the outcome may be, if I have you, the outcome will be beneficial if I have you. Krishna says, well, as you wish. The battle happens. I believe it was the 13th or the 14th day of the battle. Many of you know these stories, but it's to emphasize the significance of Partha Sarathi, puja, and Yajna, which we will have tomorrow. It was the 13th or 14th day of the battle when Abhimanyu was murdered by 7 of the commanding generals of the Kaurava army. Unfairly, indiscriminately, against the principles of Dharma, Abhimanyu was murdered. The real cause of the murder, in the sense that without this individual, it could not have happened, was Jayadratha. Jayadratha prevented the Pandavas from coming to the rescue of Abhimanyu. Entire story, many details, Chakravyuha and all that, we won't get into that. But it was Jayadratha who had the benediction from Lord Shiva that he could defeat the Pandavas, because Jayadratha was not a very known warrior, was not a very powerful warrior. But he had the benediction from Lord Shiva that he could defeat the Pandavas only if Arjuna was not present. So there was a scheme was made, and I believe it was the Kekaya brothers who took Arjuna away from the battlefield, the main battlefield, and took him off to a remote area of Kurukshetra and kept him there, engaged in furious battle, so he could not come and help. Didn't even know Abhimanyu was in danger. So it was only the 4 brothers, Yudhishthira, Bhim, Nakul, and Sahadev, who were trying to effect rescue efforts to break into the Chakravyuha, to rescue Abhimanyu, who was being beaten and slaughtered by Dronacharya and so on and so forth. So Jayadratha had caused this blockade of the Pandavas, and Abhimanyu was killed. At the end of the day, Arjuna returns back to camp, and the camp is completely silent. They don't fight at night. So they arrive back at the camp is completely silent. Krishna Arjuna comes because, oh, by the way, we all know this, but Krishna was employed as Arjuna's charioteer. He was not going to pick up a weapon. He was only going to be the charioteer of Arjuna. So Krishna and Arjuna, they return back to the camp, and Arjuna enters the main tent area. Yudhishthira is there, Bhima is there, Nakul, Sahadeva there, other generals of the Pandava army are there. No one is looking at Arjuna. Their heads are down. And Arjuna says, what's happened? Yudhishthira says, your son, Abhimanyu, I've killed him. Arjuna says, what do you mean you've killed my son? And then Yudhishthira explained the course of events. Dronacharya set up the Chakravyuha. It was killing the army. Abhimanyu said he could enter the Chakravyuha, but he could not come out. I convinced him, Yudhishthira says, don't worry, you break through, we will follow. Your son, Abhimanyu, broke through the Chakravyuha, and as we were trying to enter, Jayadratha came and closed it, and we could not penetrate it, and Dronacharya and others attacked Abhimanyu, and your son was slain. Arjuna was furious, distraught, upset. So many emotions Arjuna was going through. When he was finally able to develop some measure of calmness, he made a vow. He said, unless I kill Jayadratha tomorrow by sunset, I will commit suicide. I will throw myself into fire. When Arjuna made this vow, by the way, Arjuna has never made a vow that he has not fulfilled. There's a caveat to that, but that's another story for another time. So Krishna, everyone was astounded. And especially Krishna. Krishna turned to Arjuna and essentially, and I'm paraphrasing, of course, Krishna says, Arjuna, what have you done? Arjuna says, no, I'm going to do this tomorrow. I will kill Jayadratha or I will enter fire. Krishna says, you should not have made that declaration. You have not made that vow. Because now Duryodhana is going to find out from his spies, and he's going to do everything. He doesn't even have to kill you. He just has to slow you down enough that you will kill yourself. If you kill yourself, there's no way the rest of the Pandavas can defeat the Kauravas. It's all over for what you've done. How could you possibly make such a foolish promise to do something that Duryodhana is not going to allow you to do? It's impossible. Arjuna turns to Krishna. He says, my dear Krishna, I have you. With you driving my chariot, anything can be accomplished. Absolutely anything. There was nothing Krishna could say. Sure enough, the next day, or that evening, Duryodhana's spies found out about this vow. Duryodhana went to Dronacharya and he says, this is the vow, we have to stop Arjuna. So Dronacharya, he created not just one battle formation. He created three battle formations, which Arjuna would have to break, destroy, break, and into the third one to get at Jayadratha. 3 battle formations, unheard of before in the history of Yuddha, in the history of Vedic Dhanurveda, the war-fighting knowledge, treaties of the Vedas. Unheard of. 3 formations within one, or together. And Jayadratha was at the end of the formation, at the far end of the battle of Kurukshetra, the field of Kurukshetra. So sure enough, Arjuna, and not only that, Dronacharya went to Karna, and he said, Karna, I want you to capture Yudhishthira. Like a chess game, you capture the king, the game is over. So now there's 2 challenges here. Well, actually, there's 3 in 1. Arjuna has to battle through all of these 3 formations. Not only that, he has to worry about the protection of Yudhishthira. So Karna is roaming around trying to find Yudhishthira. So the battle begins. Arjuna tackles the first formation. Karna goes around the other side and he's looking for Yudhishthira. So they set up a protection around Yudhishthira with Bhim, Nakul, Sahadev. Everyone knows that Karna's coming. We must protect Yudhishthira. Karna comes, he meets Sahadev. He soundly defeats Sahadev, no match whatsoever for Karna. He comes to Nakul, soundly defeats Nakul, no match. Drishtadyumna, Satyaki, everyone is just completely destroyed by Karna. Karna comes to Bhima, and he's fighting with Bhima. And Bhima is so ferocious, we know Bhima, right? Karna destroys his chariot, kills his, or completely. Bhima is standing on the ground, trying to protect Yudhishthira. Karna comes and he tries to touch his bow to Bhima's head in the form of humiliation. Bhima takes the bow out of Karna's hands and hits Karna over the head with his own bow. Karna regains consciousness and subdues Bhima. And now there's a clear path to Yudhishthira. Karna's moments away from getting to Yudhishthira, and he's fighting now with Yudhishthira. And they blow the conch shells of distress to signal that Yudhishthira is in trouble. Arjuna hears the distress conch shell. He's halfway through all of these formations. He has to turn around, go all the way back to where Yudhishthira is fighting with Karna in a death match, and he has to fight off Karna and chase Karna away. And then he has to turn around and start all over again. At this point, it's late afternoon. Arjuna is only maybe halfway because he's lost so much time going back, coming back. His horses are exhausted. Krishna turns to Arjuna and says, my dear Arjuna, we have to stop. These horses are going to die from exhaustion if we do not take care of these horses. So Arjuna says, no problem. He stops with a particular divine astra. He creates a stable for Krishna and the horses to go inside. Arjuna uses his divine astra and he creates a pool of water for the horses to drink. And Krishna spends, it's described, about 1 muhurta, or 45 minutes, 50 minutes, nourishing, grooming, massaging, and taking care of the horses so the horses can get a rest. Arjuna is now on foot outside of this little small shack that Arjuna has created out of arrows. He's on foot and he's repelling the entire Kaurava army, because now when he's on foot, he's at a stage of complete, utter vulnerability. And all of the chariot fighters are trying to do to him what they did to Abhimanyu. Right? They destroyed Abhimanyu's chariot. Abhimanyu was on foot and 7 commanders came and attacked him. They're trying to do the same with Arjuna. He's on foot and he's repelling all these great Maharata commanders of the Kaurava army. But even so, even though he's repelling them, they cannot kill him or defeat him, he's not making forward progress. He's no closer to Jayadratha. Time is going because the horses have to be rested. Krishna hitches the horses to the chariot. Arjuna gets back on. They continue again to where Jayadratha. The third formation is the formidable, the impregnable Chakravyuha. Depending on which version of the Mahabharata you read, there is about 7 people who know, between 3 and 7, depending on which version, between 3 and 7 people know how to break the Chakravyuha. Now, of course, Arjuna is one of them. But this Chakravyuha is being defended by Dronacharya. He has taught everything that Arjuna knows to Arjuna. So Arjuna now has to, this is one of the most profound battles of Kurukshetra between Arjuna and Dronacharya. Arjuna defeats Dronacharya, breaks through the Chakravyuha, and he's making his way closer to Jayadratha. But the sun is setting. And the setting sun is described that it has to be, the entire sun has to be half covered by the horizon. That's considered a sunset. Depending on, we won't go into Vedic astronomy and so on. But essentially, half of the sun, if it's below the horizon, is considered the sun has set. Once the sun has completely set, there's no edge of the sun above the horizon, that's considered nightfall. So between the sun touching the horizon and the sun beneath the horizon, that particular time is called Sandhya. Halfway through that time is called sunset. That's a technicality. Don't worry about that. So it's halfway through. The sun is halfway below the horizon. It's sunset. The conch shell blows, signaling the end of the battle. It is sunset. That was the measure they've had for the past 14 days. At sunset, battle ends. Arjuna has failed. Jayadratha, he comes out of hiding, so to speak. He comes forward and he starts jeering at Arjuna. Look what you've done, how you couldn't do it. You're talking big. You think you're so, hot shot. Look, now you got to enter fire. Go on, quickly. I got to go in. It's my dinner time. Go. Stop wasting time. What, are you afraid? You're a coward now? Jeering at Arjuna. All the Kauravas jeering at Arjuna. Arjuna, without hesitation, he made a promise. He performs Achman, offers pranam to Krishna, has someone bring firewood, light the fire. He's getting ready to walk in the fire. Krishna, Partha Sarathi, says, Arjuna. Arjuna turns. Krishna says, look. And everyone turns and they look. And the sun has not yet touched the horizon. It's not yet sunset. Arjuna turns and says, Krishna turns and says, look, it's not sunset. The sun has not yet touched the horizon. there is Jayadratha. Arjuna is for a moment confused. Everyone's confused. They look, and sure enough, under every measure of discernment, the sun has not set, whereas moments before, it looked like it had set. It looked like half of the sun was beneath the horizon. Arjuna turns and shoots his arrow, and it's the end of Jayadratha. With Partha Sarathi, with Krishna guiding us in life, any obstacle can be overcome. This is the significance of Partha Sarathi puja. Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna, Yatra Partha Dhanurdhara, Tatra Shriyat Vijaya Bhutir, Dhruva Nitir Matir Manmam. Wherever there is Krishna, Yogeshwara, wherever there is Arjuna, Dhanurdhara, there will always be opulence, victory, extraordinary power, and morality, niti, ethics. This is the significance of Partha Sarathi puja. Partha is Arjuna, the son of Pritha. Kunti is Pritha. Sarathi means chariot driver. Krishna is known as Partha Sarathi Krishna. With Krishna as our Sarathi in life, anything can be overcome. However, very, very important, we must give everything in the endeavor. Krishna did not do what Arjuna could do. He only did what Arjuna could not do. Arjuna could not stop the sun from setting, but Arjuna had to give full endeavor in every other way. The 14th battle of Kurukshetra is the most profound day of the entire battle of Kurukshetra from this philosophical concept. What Arjuna had to do, the endeavor, the work he had to put in was absolutely amazing, astounding. Arjuna's work ethic. Arjuna put 110% in achieving what he said he was going to achieve, in achieving his goal. But when the final obstacle came, an obstacle Arjuna could not overcome, Partha Sarathi took care of it. When Draupadi was being disrobed, she did everything in her power. She appealed to everyone, all the kings there. She appealed to Bhishma, Drona, Dhritarashtra, Gandhari, depending on which version of the Mahabharata, was appealed to. She appealed to each of her husbands, personally, individually, directly. She did everything she could do. But one thing she could not do, Krishna provided. That is Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is telling us what we must do. After we have done everything, we've walked the path of dharma 110%. Whatever obstacle remains, Partha Sarathi will remove. So I invite you all to come to Partha Sarathi Puja, Yajna, tomorrow. I will be, for those of us who are there, I have a picture of Partha Sarathi. Those of you who come, you will be included in the worship of Partha Sarathi. In this picture, you'll be able to take home after puja to put on your altar at home. I have a limited amount. The Gurukul students will be performing, under my direction, of course, much of the puja. And so the parents are obviously have the first opportunity to perform Partha Sarathi Puja, the parents of the Gurukul students. And then I have about 5-6 more places for those of you who want to perform Partha Sarathi Puja. We'll have to do first come, first serve. But please, so if you want to do Partha Sarathi Puja and participate, it's an involved puja, yajna. It takes about 45 minutes. Please come. program starts at 4:30. There will be some discussion. We have a guest speaker coming, Shamarupa Prabhu. He is an old friend of mine. He served as the president of the ISKCON Boston Temple. He'll be coming to share some nectar, some teachings from the Bhagavad Gita. Then we'll have the Partha Sarathi puja and havan performed by the Gurukula students who have been training for this for several months and weeks now. And you will also participate, and you'll be able to take home a picture of Partha Sarathi for your personal altar. And we can go into 2024 with Partha Sarathi Krishna driving our chariot, but with the knowledge that we must give full endeavor to walking the path of Dharma. 110%, that's on us. That's what we must do. What we cannot do, obstacles that are put in our place that we cannot overcome, Partha Sarathi Krishna will remove. See you tomorrow. Hari Hari.